Alright, Travis Wayne Goodsell. Today's the day. The LDS Mormon Church is ordered to hand over the keys. I use the word keys as a double meaning. Technically, the judge of the federal government is authorized to make changes in the religion. They did it with the Temple Mount case, where the reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, with Joseph Smith's son, went up against the Church of Christ, something. And the judge ruled that the son of Joseph Smith was the legal and legitimate successor of Joseph Smith. And so Brigham Young is not the legal and legitimate son of, or legitimate successor of Joseph Smith. But they didn't get the temple lot, which was what the lawsuit was all about. And then the Edmunds-Tucker Act just thrashed Brigham's church. They were defiant in maintaining polygamy, insisting that it was Joseph Smith who started it, even though none of the other branch-offs practiced polygamy, even though the Book of Mormon denounced polygamy 3 times, even though Joseph Smith's own Doctrine and Covenants chapter denounced polygamy and was carried over into Brigham's Doctrine and Covenants until the year before he died, when all of a sudden he has this manuscript from Joseph Smith claiming polygamy. And polygamy by the penalty of death, which perfect harmony with Joseph's works. Sure, I believe you. Not. And so Edmunds-Tucker Act just decimated the church, disincorporated it, disbanded it, confiscated all the property except for the temples. And that's where the government went astray. Because Brigham Young then went and forced secrecy in the temple. Don't you dare reveal what we're plotting here in the temple, as we're giving you the secret handshakes and the secret oaths and the secret words that you will betray America and get revenge. This is the life of a boy who grew up in the church, born and raised, going on 50 years. Act of treason. And so I get to sue the church because I was led to believe Joseph was the founder, and that Brigham was the true successor, and that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the only true church on the face of the earth, despite not having followed proper protocol for selecting a successor. Section 107, verses 21 and 22. And now we have this lawsuit that is completed. I won. Judge First failed to respond by the 31st in complete defiance. And so according to the civil case proceedings, she failed to respond. And it's typically understood to be for defendants who fail to respond. But in this case, the motion was for the judges. And the judges failed to respond. So it's understood that the judges are to fill in for the word for defendant. So if Judge First fails to answer the complaint or file a motion to dismiss within the time limit set forth in the summons, Judge First is in default. The plaintiff, Travis Wayne Goodsell, can ask the court clerk to make a note of that fact in the file. That's what I'm going in this morning. We got dumped on. There is snow all the way up the window. But I'm going in unless the buses don't run today. That will be discouraging. But we should have the sweepers sweeping the streets. And 47th is a main street, so. Let's see. A procedure. Let's see. The plaintiff can ask the court clerk to make a note of that fact in the file. A procedure called entry of default. You see, because the case is over. It defaults to me. The judgment is for me because judge failed to respond. She conceded, is what it's referred to. And so she agrees to everything that I've motioned, everything that's in my complaint, and I only got through the first section yesterday in my video series that a couple of you watched. And that's what's, I think, most disturbing, is that the church has been destroyed and Mormons aren't going to know about it until they can't go to church anymore, can't go to the temple anymore, are no longer allowed to access the internet, their website, no longer able to donate the protection money to the church, no longer able to go on missions as their missionaries are called home. Why are we going home, Mommy? Because, the joke is that Monson lowered the age. So little kids are going on missions now. But, Mormons, you knew the prophecy that one day the missionaries would be called home. This is it. It's here. The church is true. By not being true. Entry of default. I'll keep reading the failure to respond portion of the federal case proceedings for civil cases. Entry of default means that because the Judge First has failed to respond, Judge First will not be permitted to contest whether she is liable to the plaintiff. there is no amendment or appeal, sorry. She can't say, no, Travis, I'm overruling my previous judgment. No, can't do that. The church, even, once they find out they have to hand over the keys to me, some nobody whom they had locked up for 6 years of his life and paid off the person who made it happen, they cannot appeal because Judge First acted on their behalf. They can't appeal. That's the beauty of all this. I followed federal law, and federal law allows for this to take place. And so, yeah, I'm going in this morning, assuming that the snow hasn't destroyed the federal building or destroyed the bus schedule. But I'm to receive the damages, my request for relief. And my request for relief was one of two things. Either the church close down everything, sell everything, and write me a check for the remaining balance after paying their debts to those who they've wronged, paying the final wages to their employees, paying the final bills. Everything else is supposed to come to me. That's the one way. The other way, hand over the keys. And so Mormons have believed that you're supposed to lay on of hands to give the keys. Nope. The United States of America is authorized by Jesus Christ, because remember, Jesus Christ is the author of the Constitution, as we've all seen those real-time photographs of Jesus Christ standing in the Constitution room as they're all signing it. And so, the Doctrine and Covenants talks about how the Constitution was inspired by God. And so Mormons know very well they're supposed to follow the Constitution. And the Constitution has set forth the civil case proceedings, and I won. They are required now to hand over the keys. I don't even have to do this morning. They're already in default by failing to respond, or Judge First failing to respond on their behalf because she failed to respond on the previous motions. And so, yeah, the church must give me the keys or give me a check. Take your pick, church. It's that simple. The church is destroyed. It's over. I mean, they had fast and testimony meeting, but they were in default. They weren't supposed to have church yesterday. They were supposed to close down the doors. We're in default. We lost the case. We have to hand over everything to Travis Wayne Goodsell. Or as The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, said yesterday, my man Travis. Or however he does that. But we should all be thankful for The Rock for saving the world on the Samoan island where Armageddon occurred. If you saw that movie. So yeah, this is latter days. And the church is destroyed. And so no, this is not a joke. I mean, I've shown you the videos where I've got the case and stuff. Ooh, I didn't want to do that. It's over. Turn out the lights, Mormons. It's over. Now the question Mormons now have to face is, if the church hands over the keys to me, are you going to be rebellious and resistant and say, hell no, we don't want Travis to be our leader? Who cares if he deciphered Paleo-Hebrew and deciphered petroglyphs to prove Joseph Smith was on the right track and that he's the most intelligent Mormon about Mormonism there is? Yeah. I can go into why apologetics are completely false, down to the dichotomy, non-dichotomy fallacies you guys use. And I know that dichotomy and non-dichotomy categorization comes from the Mormon Stanley Smith Stevens. You guys don't know anything about that. You don't even know the word dichotomy. So, it's over, Mormons. That's what you need to face now. Your missionaries are all supposed to come home. And if I'm handed the keys, if that's the option, like I said, I would be holding a press conference. This is it. I've already done the video, but this would be the press conference, because the press, again, is refusing to acknowledge it as well. Everybody is saying, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Even new name Noah. And we all know who he is. The one who left the church and it became popular because he gets other people to make these videos and he uploads them on his site. So he becomes popular. That's all he's good for. He doesn't know anything in the church. But even he says this is some con. A con? Seriously? What con? But I already laid out what I'm planning on doing if I'm handed over the church. If I'm handed over the money, I also did a video for that. If I'm handed the keys, I'm not going to let the religion just die. Religion is protected by the First Amendment. It's the corporation that I went after. It's the corporation that's done away with. And so, yes, I would restore the actual religion of Joseph Smith. All this Brigham Young change that has taken place and has followed in his pattern, in his image, no, all gone. Many changes will be made. And I would make them at the conference that I claimed I would designate, because it would be next month on the weekend of 14th and 15th. The 14th would be the business meeting, 15th would be the religious meeting, and so the 14th would be how the new organization would function. We would be giving charity for once. God. With the exposure of the $100 billion in tithing that was funneled to another company that just has been sitting there collecting interest, that scandal placed the percentage of amount paid in charity to 0.000 and then a number. That's how little the church is paying in charity. They're on full greed mode. And it's over now. It's over. No more of Putin's money laundering through the stock market. The 32 billion was the original figure that I was working off of. And then it was 0.05. So, yeah, I mean, Mormons, the whole church is going to change. The temple, the church, because the churches, like I said in the video, they're all getting converted to temples. And there's no need for both church and temple. The ancients had the sacrament at the temples. So, yeah, that's what we're going back to. We're going back to the ancient Egyptian religion. That's what Joseph Smith was promoting. Remember, Book of Mormon? I write it in the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians. The brass plates in Egyptian. The Book of Abraham from Egyptian. What part of that says Hebrew chiasmus? What part of that says Jewish mysticism even? You know, but the Book of Mormon does say we also had Hebrew. And so yes, there were lots of Jewish mystical stuff. But that's also what they were saying, is that the Jews loved to look beyond the mark. That's what they were referring to as Jewish mysticism. And yet they still employed several of it, especially in the plagiarism of the Book of Mormon, the Tree of Life. And so, yeah, this is my two viewers. You guys are the only ones who know that the church has been destroyed, literally been destroyed. They are in default. They must hand over the keys or a check for upwards of $1 trillion or so, because the 100 billion was just the money that was funneled through tithing into an investment. There were other operations that the church is involved in that they also would have taken money from those accounts and funneled them into an investment. That's what they do. That's what they've been teaching us to do. Oh, I know you're poor and you can't buy food, and the church is refusing to give you assistance, but you need to set aside money for savings. That's where we got it from. And so if they're just being exposed for tithing, no, they're doing it for fast offerings. They're doing it for other charitable donations. They're doing it for their businesses. They're doing it for their education systems. Every organization that receives money, a portion would be taken out into an investment. The church is far more than just 100 billion. I will be exposing it, like I said in the video, what the actual church finances were, because they have to hand over a check or give me the keys so that I can check through the records. They don't get other options. They can't withhold the information. And so the public will know once and for all what the final tally was that the church had been collecting and not giving in charity. So that's it. The church is over. And that's the federal court procedures. That's the laws of the land. And do I need to review Article of Faith number 12 for you Mormons? We believe in being subject to kings, presidents, rulers, magistrates, in obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law. Let's find out if you really do have that Article of Faith embedded in your hearts. Because you're supposed to obey the law. The courts failed to obey the law on your behalf. And so, are you going to obey the law now that you have to hand over the church? Or the money equivalent? Because I'm given to charity. I'm becoming a charity. No more suffering in this world from what you caused. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints could have made a difference in the world by alleviating the poor, by alleviating the hungry, by alleviating the homeless. And they failed. And not only failed, they perpetuated it. And so that's my plan to do with either of the options, is to or create an organization, charity, with the check, or turn the church into an actual religious charity, so that the organization is a charity and that the religion is a restoration of the ancient Egyptian religion. Because that's where the sacrament comes from. Where do you think the idea of breaking bread in remembrance of the broken body of Jesus? I don't see Jesus getting his bones broken in the narrative of the Gospels. In fact, there's even a passage that says it was fulfilled that not a single bone will be broken. What? Then why is the sacrament the breaking of bread in remembrance of his broken body? It's because there are two messiahs being referred to in the narrative of the Gospels. One is the latter-day Messiah, the other is the first Messiah, of which everything is patterned on. And I did those videos, and only the two of you watched. So, yeah. Alright, it's coming on 5 o'clock, so it's going to be 5:30-ish when this gets uploaded. So, I'll go in around, leave here around 8, I'll try, 8, 9 o'clock, somewhere around there. And, we'll do this. But I don't have to, because it's already said and done. This is just to enforce what is already said and done. So the two of you who are watching, let all your friends and neighbors know the church is done. They cannot operate anymore. They have been in default. They lost their case. So, alrighty, let's get it on. Let's get it up. AC/DC. I tried to remember where I got that from yesterday, and I did the search for you right there on AC/DC. Alright, my man Travis. Way to go, Rock. I'm now the new Rock.